everyone, this is Miss Baker, and for our knowledge lesson for today, we are going to keep talking about weather and the seasons, and we're going to learn all about the season winter today. So I want you to think, turn your thinking brains on, about all the things that we talked about yesterday, about the weather and the seasons. Think. Okay, right now, think of all 4 seasons. There are 4 seasons in our year. Think. All right, let's see if we remember all of them. We have winter, spring, summer, and fall. Now say it with me. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then once we get to fall time, their seasons move in a big circle, and they happen over and over and over again every single year. So once you have winter and spring, summer and fall, it goes back to winter, back to spring, back to summer and fall, and it keeps going around and around. So today we're talking all about winter, the coldest season that there is in the year. Every time that Miss Baker says the word winter in our story, I'm going to need your help. Every time you hear that word winter, say that word. Good job. Winter. You are going to pretend that you are outside shivering because you are so cold, just like this. Can you try? Good job, just like this. Every time Miss Baker says the word winter in our story. Now, before we read our story, we're going to go over some new words. So our first word, I want everyone to say blizzard. Can you say blizzard? Good job. A blizzard is a very, very heavy snowstorm. Lots of wind, lots of snow, and the whole ground is covered with snow, like you can see in this picture right here. All the snow is covering the cars and the road. So when you have a blizzard, not a lizard, a blizzard, you have lots of wind and snow. Your next word, I want everyone to say frigid. Can you say frigid? Good job. When something is frigid, it is very, very cold, like super cold, like the frigid temperature. If it's very, very cold outside, you can say, oh my gosh, it is so frigid out here right now. I just want to go stay inside where it's nice and warm. So when you hear that word frigid, kind of like your fridge, that is also very cold. It keeps your food nice and cold. Frigid means very, very cold. Another word that I'd like you to try to say is the word freezing point. You try to say it. Good job. The freezing point is a certain temperature that the liquid, like rain, will turn into a solid. So that is when all the water that you have will suddenly turn into ice, and it's no longer water. Like when it snows and the rain comes down from the clouds, if it is a certain temperature outside, if it is the freezing point, all that rain coming down from the sky will turn to ice, which makes it start to snow. The next word, I want everyone to say halt. Ooh, one more time, say halt. When you hear that word halt, that means to stop. Like if you're driving in the car with your mom or your dad, and there's a green light, and then all of a sudden it turns red, you have to stop. Good job. You have to stop and halt. So that way you don't keep going. Halt means to stop. And one more word, I want everyone to say cautiously. One more time, can you say cautiously? Good job. When you're doing something cautiously, you're doing it very, very carefully. Like when you tie your shoes, you make sure you tie them cautiously, very carefully. Make sure they're in a nice knot so you don't trip. Or maybe when you're using your scissors, you use them cautiously so you don't cut your finger while you're cutting your paper. So cautiously means just to be very, very, very careful. Now, remember our 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And every time you hear that word winter, what are you going to do? Good job. You're going to shiver. Pretend you're super duper cold every time you hear that word in our story. Now I'm going to have the picture cards right up here that you can use to follow along in the story. And I'll bring it closer so that way everybody can see. So here's our very first picture. And this is Annie from our story from yesterday. And what do you notice about Annie in that picture? I'll give you a little bit of time to think. Good job. She's wearing winter clothes. I can see her wearing earmuffs to keep her ears warm. She has a big puffy jacket on, boots, and there's even snowflakes all around her. So, what season do you think it is right now in that picture? Good job. It is the winter time. Winter. All right, I'm going to begin reading our story. So make sure that your listening ears are on. Turn them on. Okay. Dear kindergartners, hi from your pen pal, Annie. In my last letter, I told you about the 4 seasons that happen in the United States. Winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Autumn is another word for fall. Great job. Today, I'm going to tell you about winter. What kinds of things do you think of when I say that word, winter? Think about it in your head. Some things that come to your head when you hear that word, winter. You may just say it out loud. Just think about it. Okay, you could have said cold weather, snow, maybe building a snowman. Maybe you even think about like Elsa from Frozen. Maybe you think about Christmas time or going to the North Pole. All types of things you can think about with winter, things that are cold. Winter is the coldest season of the year in most of the United States. Now remember, we talked yesterday, not everywhere has the same weather at the same time. The shortest day of the year is on December 21st. It is the shortest day because it has the least amount of daylight. It marks the beginning of winter. Winter also includes the months of January and February. So there are 3 months that the winter season is in. You have December, say it after me, December, January, and February, which is the month that we're in right now. So we are almost done with winter time. Almost done. Now Ms. Baker's gonna flip the page to the next part of our story. And you can see in this picture right here, this is called a thermometer. Can you say that word? Good job, thermometer. A thermometer, let me bring it closer so that way you can see. The thermometers measure the temperature, how hot or how cold the weather is outside or even inside. We can use the temperature to adjust like the air or the heat in our living room or in our bedroom, make our house colder or hotter, just like the weather is outside. It can be cold or it can be hot. Now it can get very cold in the winter in most of the United States. We can tell how cold it is by using a thermometer. It measures the temperature, which is a number that we use to talk about how hot or how cold it is. When it is hot outside, the liquid in the thermometer, so this red part right here, it will rise up towards the top. So the hotter it gets outside, the higher your thermometer is gonna go, like in this picture. This temperature is a lot hotter than this one because it's going more towards the top. This one says it's 100 degrees. That is very, very hot. And when it is cold outside, the liquid in the thermometer stays near the bottom, like in this one. Right here, it is more towards the bottom. It does not go up to the very, very top. Another way that you can tell it is winter time is by the way that people are dressed. I'm going to show you another picture of how different people can dress differently in the winter time. So if you look at this picture, do you think about what do you see in these pictures? What are the people doing? What are they wearing? Where do you think they are? Just take a few seconds to look. Okay, great job. So you could say that she has on winter clothes like a beanie and a scarf. And he also has on, look, he has gloves and boots. And you can even tell from the background, the whole ground is white. So it's probably covered with a bunch of snow. Even her, she's wearing her snowsuit. She has her beanie on and her scarf to keep her head and her neck warm, her mittens. And it looks like she might even be playing on the playground, maybe at the park. So people wear lots of different things in the wintertime to help keep them warm. That's another way that you can tell it is the winter. Now, winter clothing, it's made to protect you from the cold and to keep your body nice and warm while you spend time outside. Hats, mittens, scarves, they all help you stay warm in the wintertime. Now, it is usually cold during the winter where I live in Washington, D.C. Remember our pen pal Annie, she lives in a whole different state than we do. And each state, the weather is not always the same. So she lives all the way in Washington, D.C. I'm going to show you a picture of where Annie lives. So this is a picture from Washington, D.C. And if you notice, there's lots of trees, really big buildings, and look at the weather in that picture. What do you notice about the weather in that picture? Good job. It's very cloudy. There's not a whole lot of sun in the sky. Even the ground is all covered in snow. So what season do you think it might be right now for Annie? Good job, probably the winter time. Now, sometimes it even gets cold enough to snow in Washington, D.C., like in this picture. I wish it would snow every day, but the temperature has to fall below freezing, below 32 degrees, in order for it to snow. So when your moms and dads check the weather on their phone or they look at the weather on the TV and it has all those numbers help everyone figure out what it feels like outside. If it's below 32, that means it's very, very cold and it could snow. But if it's higher than that, that means it's getting warmer and warmer. If the air between the clouds and the ground is below the freezing point, that was one of our words, instead of rain, snowflakes will probably fall from the sky. So that freezing point, that's when all that liquid, all the rain, it's at a certain temperature outside where it's very, very cold, and that rain could turn to ice and into snow with snowflakes. Now, some years, Washington, D.C. gets very heavy snowstorms called a blizzard. That's another word that Ms. Baker told you before we started reading. A blizzard, a big, giant, heavy snowstorm. Lots of snow, lots of wind, and that could bring all the city traffic to a halt or a stop. And it could force the schools to close, which is so crazy because are we at school right now? No, you are at your house watching Ms. Baker teach from your parents' phone or computer because we had snow in a winter storm that did not allow us to come to school, just like in our story, like Annie's telling us. Now, there are other years where it only snows maybe once or twice. So it depends on the weather and the temperature, so it does not snow all the time or every year. It depends. Some winters, that means it could be colder and snowier than other winters. What is it like during the winter where you live? Does it ever snow? Think about that, and you can share out your answer. Where we live right now in North Carolina, what's the winter like outside? The temperature, what you see outside, does it ever snow? Good job. It does snow. We just had a few snow days about a month ago. We all got to play outside and build snowballs and have a snowball fight. Snowmen make snow angels. So sometimes it does snow where we get lots and lots of snow. But other days, does it snow every single day? No. Some days it's just very, very cold, like it was on Monday at school. So it just depends. Now, when it snows, everyone works together to clear up all the snow because it's very hard for people to walk around, to take their dogs or their animals outside, and maybe even to drive to school or to work. So people have to work to clear off the snow. I'm gonna show you another picture. Okay, if you look at this picture, this man, he lives where it snows, and you can see all that snow. Now that'd be very, very hard to walk through or to get to places, so they have to clear it. If you see in his hand, what do you think he has in his hand? Good job, it's probably a shovel, a really, really big shovel. And he can take that shovel and he can scoop up all the snow and put it to the side just to clear it out of the way so he has a path to walk on. People use snow shovels to shovel snow off their walkways so that others don't slip and get hurt. Remember, the snow and the ice, it makes the ground very, very slippery. It gets very, very hard to walk on. You don't want to slip and fall, so people take all that snow and they kind of push it away, so it makes it easier for people to walk. Now, in many places where it snows, a little tiny snow shovel, it would take forever to get rid of all that snow, right? Yes, it would take a very, very long time if people only had little snow shovels like this. So, some places, they have what is called a snow plow. Can everybody say snow plow? Great job. A snow plow looks something like this. It is a great big plow. It's a big truck. And on the front of the truck are truck scrapes. And the truck scrapes the snow and the ice from the street. So this little thing right here, it pushes along the ground and it clears all the snow off. It's like a big giant shovel. And see how the ground is already cleared? There's not even any snow over here, hardly any. And they push it all over so it clears a path. Now, these trucks also carry salt and other chemicals. They spread on the road as they pass. Has anybody ever seen a snowplow like this in the road before? Great job. The salt and the chemicals that they keep on the truck, when they sprinkle all that on the ground, it melts all the other ice away and it keeps new ice from forming. So it makes the road safer for people to drive their cars on. Because when it's snowy outside, that's why we're home right now. It can be very, very dangerous for cars to drive on the ground because it's very, very slippery. So the snow plows help keep their roads safe and dry and not have as much snow on the ground. People should always drive and walk slowly and cautiously. That was another word we talked about. Cautiously means very, very careful. They need to walk very carefully and cautiously in the snow. The snow and ice are slippery, and if you're walking or driving, you need to use extra caution when the ground is covered with snow or ice. Now, Annie is saying, I always cheer up when it starts to snow because I love to play in the snow. How many of you like to play in the snow? Miss Baker likes to play in the snow. I like to build snowmen and have snowball fights with my friends. So I'm sure some of you did this because I got to see pictures of you on your snow days a month ago. Some of you, when it was snowing and you got to play outside in the snow, you made very, very cool snowmen, just like this. So it can be very fun when you have snow days because you can do fun things like this outside that you normally can't do every single day. So you can make a snowman like that. How many of you have ever made a snowman? Now, another way to have fun in the snow is to go sledding. How many of you have ever been sledding before? This is a picture of sledding. This little girl, she's on this sled, and you lay on it on your belly, or you can sit on it, and normally you go up on a big top hill, and you get on the sled, and you slide down, and you go super duper fast, and you slide along the snow, just like her. Do you think she looks happy or sad? Probably very happy. She's having lots of fun playing in the snow. After a big snow, all you need is a nice big hill, warm clothes, and something to ride on to go sledding. Now, after playing or working outside in the winter, it is always nice to come back inside and get warm again. Some homes have fireplaces where people light logs on fire, help keep the house nice and warm. I love reading a good book by the warm fire. So some people have fireplaces like this in their house. How many of you have a fireplace like this in your house? Very nice. In places where it stays really cold in the winter, some people have electric heaters to help keep the air inside their homes nice and warm. Of course, having a few extra blankets on the bed is always a good idea for those frigid, very cold winter nights. Winter is also a time when people from different places celebrate holidays, like Christmas. We all love Christmas in this classroom. It's a holiday that comes on December 25th. And Hanukkah, remember we learned about Hanukkah also? That also falls around this time in the winter time. And so does Kwanzaa. We also talked about that when we learned about our holidays around the world. That is also celebrated during the winter time. To celebrate these holidays and other holidays in the winter time, sometimes people put colorful lights around their house, in their neighborhood. You could decorate Christmas trees or decorate your house with lots of different fun things, and it makes it a very magical place. And another important holiday that falls in the wintertime, on December 31st, the last day of the year, is New Year's Eve. So here are some pictures of some holidays. And we've talked about these when we learned about holidays around the world. We have Christmas time, where Santa comes and you have your Christmas tree and you give presents. Kwanzaa, where they have a big feast with their family and they light the Kimara. Then you have Hanukkah, where they light the menorah, and it's the festival of lights, and they spin the dreidel. We learned all about that. But another holiday that we have, the last day of the year, is New Year's Eve. That is celebrated on December 31st. During New Year's time, people celebrate, they stay up very, very late, and they watch the day turn into the new year. And the new year is always on January 1st. It is called New Year's Day. It's a day where many people make resolutions and the goals of things that they want to do in the new year. Now, luck and fortune are common themes for the Lunar New Year. So there's another New Year, which is the Chinese New Year, a holiday that falls the end of January, beginning of February. Now, the color red is thought to be a sign of good fortune and happiness, and it's the color that most people choose to wear during the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year. The homes are decorated with red paper dragons, and happy wishes are written on red paper and strung throughout the house. The children often get red envelopes filled with money, and the people who get those envelopes, they're supposed to have good luck in the new year. There are so many fun things to do in the winter. What's your favorite part of winter? Think about your favorite part and you may share it out. Great job. Love, your friend, Annie. Okay, so that was the end of our story. Now she was talking all about winter time. Now let's go over. What are the 3 months of the year that are in the winter season? Great job. You have December, January, and February. Great job. Now, when it is cold outside, and you have your thermometer. Is the liquid close to the top or is it close to the bottom when you have your thermometer and it's cold outside? Great job. The liquid is more towards the bottom of your thermometer. The hotter it gets, the higher it goes. Great job. Now, what are some things that you can do in the wintertime or something that you can see that happens during the wintertime? Great job. It's very cold outside. Sometimes it can snow. It can be very cloudy outside. Great job. Now, how do you dress for the winter time? What should you wear when it's the winter season? Great job. You can wear hats, coats, scarves, mittens, boots, all things to keep you nice, warm, and cozy. Now, what happens to the rain when the temperature drops below the freezing point? What does the rain turn into? Great job. It starts to turn into snow or ice. Now, what is something that you can do in the snow? What's an activity that you can do when you're playing in the snow? Great job. You can have a snowball fight. You can make a snowman. You could make a snow angel. Or you can go sledding down a big, big hill. There's lots of things that you can do when it is wintertime. Now that word frigid, when I say frigid, it means very, very cold. Very cold. In a blizzard, we'll go over our vocab words one more time. A blizzard is a very, very big snowstorm. Now, that was the end of our read aloud. Thank you for watching, and make sure to go over your 4 seasons with your family members. And maybe you can share with your family something that you like to do in the wintertime, maybe a favorite holiday that you have in the wintertime, maybe Christmas time, maybe you like to celebrate New Year's. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you at school again.